What's going on, my friends? Simchalips here. Today we'll be talking about physiques of greatness yet again. What else will we talk about on the Simchal Fitness channel, right? But in this time, it appears as though Chris Jones and Vincent Garza, the co-founders of Physiques of Greatness, are deciding to break up. So that's rather unfortunate. But essentially, what's going on here is Chris Jones launched a video saying, "Is Chris done with POG for good?" And I don't know if you can see, there you have it at the top right over there, right? And he's essentially saying that he calling Vincent Garza out, saying why he's done with it, and just essentially saying that he's done, and Vincent Garza is getting 50% of the booty, of the profit for the channel without doing anything. And then Vincent Garza made a reply video to which he responded that he is doing work, and it's just that Chris Jones is impossible to get a hold of. And then Chris Jones made a rebuttal video, and then so it was a trifecta of a trilogy, if you will, right? So, but there's some nonverbal subtext going on here. Essentially, Chris Jones knew exactly what he was doing. He opened up a can of worms when he says, "Is Chris Jones leaving Physiques of Greatness?" Right? I'm sure Vincent Garza didn't even know that was going to be coming up. Right? I'm sure Vincent Garza found out that video at the same time that the rest of us all found it, and he was probably just as shocked, right? Now, and I believe it was essentially a trap. It was a trap because he wanted Vincent Garza to go ahead and grab it, right? Make a rebuttal video, put himself out there to be a crazy or loony or a leech or whatever you want to call him, and then Chris Jones can go ahead and sever all ties with him. And essentially, Vincent Garza was stupid enough to take the bait, right? You see, if I was getting $100,000 or six figures, as they put it, right? Because that's the amount that the Physiques of Greatness channel is worth, 50% of it. So you got to figure all of it is around 200,000, somewhere in $200,000, $300,000 range, which is not bad, right? But Vincent Garza gets 50% of that, right? So you got to figure, if he's getting that kind of money and he's not really doing much, because you don't see him doing much, and if you don't see him doing much, trust me, he's not doing much. It's not like he's doing something behind the scenes that you just don't see it. Chris Jones, he's putting his face out there, he's getting the name out there, he's getting the ideas, he's getting everything out there. It's Chris Jones all the way, and Vincent Garza is just kind of trailing on his coattails, getting the money, getting the income for essentially doing nothing, which is awesome for him, right? But the problem is, eventually that's going to run dry, and I'm sure Chris Jones has gotten wise to this. He realizes that, hey, I don't need this guy Chris Jones, and I'm sorry, I don't need this guy Vincent Garza to be dragging me through the mud. Just because you start selling with somebody, that don't mean they own you for life. I'm sorry. If business partners fall apart all the time, every single day. And it's because one business partner is not picking up the slack, then guess what? Out that person goes. That's how business works. I've run businesses. I know how this stuff works. I know how the business model and everything works. People don't pull their own weight. They're out. Business partner, it doesn't matter if you're a board member, if you're a CEO, it don't matter. What do they do? Steve Jobs was ousted out of Apple at one point, I think, or I don't. Steve Jobs, the board ousted him, for no reason. But that's not the point. I mean, people get laid off all the time for stuff that they created. So don't tell me that Vince G created this, so therefore he gets an in. No, he doesn't get an. He doesn't get a pass. He don't get an in. Chris Jones is nice enough to keep him on for as long as he did, if what he's saying is true, and Vincent Garza hasn't done anything for 2 years, because that's a quote. He says Vincent Garza hasn't done anything for the channel for 2 whole years, which I find a little bit hard to believe because I've seen him in a number of videos. Moving on past that, if he has done nothing for 2 years, then Chris Jones is a little bit of an idiot for keeping him on that long, or not severing more ties with him. Now you got to figure Chris Jones is a little bit stuck at this point, right? Because he's got Physiques of Greatness. He can't really take it all to him, or maybe he can, but it would be really, really screwing Vince over, since it is kind of belonging to him, because it was, as he said, it was through a handshake. From my understanding, there was no contract contractually binding them to the business agreement, which is Physiques of Greatness. So there's nothing really binding them, and the checks come to Chris Jones's uh, facility or place, or wherever, his residence, excuse me, from YouTube. So it's under Chris Jones's name. So if he really wanted to be a jerk, he could just give Chris the bird, give him the middle finger, and say, "Out you go." And then, since Chris Jones doesn't have any paperwork to back up that he's part of the Physique's Greatness, he's just out on the street. He's got doesn't have a leg to stand on, as they say. The problem here is Chris Jones is not that kind of guy, obviously. He's a nicer guy. He's not going to just oust him just like that. But I also think that he put this video out as bait. He wanted to goad Vince into saying some, just some accusational things, some sort of, like he did, to then turn things around and kind of snap them, if you will. And which is exactly, so essentially Vince Garza was stupid enough to fall for the bait, which is really astounding to me, because if I were making $100,000 a year, I'd be kissing, especially for doing nothing, I'd be kissing, Chris Jones's feet, to be honest. I mean, that's a very decent sum of money. I think I'd be rather comfortable doing that. But apparently Vincent Garza doesn't feel that kind of affection, doesn't feel that kind of respect, that kind of, to kind of, that kind of thankfulness, if you will. I wish there was a better, that kind of gratitude, there we go, that we want to go ahead and, and thank Chris Jones for everything he's done for him. So he was stupid enough, fell for the bait, put up a video accusing Chris Jones of a number of things, and, he tried to box with Chris Jones over this, which is really stupid, because, like I said, he won't have a leg to stand on when this is all over. When the dust settles, he will not have a leg to stand on. There's no way he can come out of this on top. And sure enough, I think Vince Jones, I think Vincent Garza must have got wind of this and understood that maybe talk to a lawyer, because we got to remember there's a lot of money involved. This is not just a regular average YouTube beef drama. There's a lot of money involved here, right? He probably got in touch with a lawyer, and that lawyer kind of spelled things out for him, said, "Yo, you haven't got a leg to stand on. You better start apologizing, kissing some butt here. You better start doing some backpedaling, get back in Chris Jones' pocket, because otherwise, boy, you are screwed, buddy. You are screwed." And that's probably what he's doing right about now. If I was Vince right now, I'd suggest lying low, just going ahead, doing the Chris Jones thing, making amends, saying, I was all wrong. I had it all wrong. It's all good. We all good. I'm buckling down. I'm getting my physique right. Man, like I'm like, I got like 50 some subscribers, bro. Like, I got a couple thousand views. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like, I bet you I could pull it. I'm bigger than this dude, right? I'm 200 pounds, about 15% body fat. I'm bigger than this guy. He's got to step it up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no excuses for that kind of thing. If he's pulling in that kind of money, he's got to have the physique to go along with it. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, I mean, people won't be on board with him until he gets lean. And if something like hundreds of thousands of dollars were on the line, you can bet that I would be shredded year round. I mean, I'm already big, and I'm not even getting funded or anything. This is just a hobby of mine. Seriously, like, this channel is for nonprofit. So, and I can get this. He can do it too. He got to get his butt in gear and start making some moves that will benefit his future. Otherwise, he's just going to sink hard. That's my take on it. That's my theory. Don't forget to comment. Like the video if you like the video. And I'll see you all next video. Peace.